Oh, I guess it didn't pull everybody in. Okay, here we go.
Middles and here's my dog. They love it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Good afternoon, everybody. Please keep your mics on mute. Okay, let's give it a couple minutes for people to trickle in here.
Henry. Good old Henry. What's that? Strikeout.
Okay, start to slow down here.
Wow.
Okay. Big group today. All right, good afternoon, everybody. Got a few more people trickling in here. Just like I said, please try and keep your mic on mute. Please use the hand raise function if you have a question, or you can also put your questions in the chat. Please know that this is being recorded. There is a transcription as well. And again, please check your mic that it's on mute. Okay, hang on. We got a few more people coming in here today. Okay. All right. Okay. So again, good afternoon. My name is Henry Lowry. If you don't know, vendor manager here in the EAT program at IHCDA. Today we are doing a tech walkthrough of what we're calling the new vendor portal. So we have a training today. We have this exact same training on Monday. So in case this isn't good enough for you, you are welcome to join us again on Monday. That will be the exact same training. So you won't get anything necessarily new, but you can join us if you think that would be helpful. So again, please make sure your mics are on mute. Please use the hand raise function or put your questions in the chat, and then I'll try and do my best to answer those as we go along. So, okay.
No, you won't learn TriCap for a while.
Okay.
Usually one person pretty well
So
does this.
today, what we're going to be learning about is the utility vendor side functionality of LITT. Our recommended attendees today are basically every utility vendor that works on the Energy Systems Program. This format is going to be about an hour long. It is being recorded, and it's going to be, I'm going to have about 40 cards or so, PowerPoint cards, and then I'm going to actually pull up the website and show you how to work through it all. So it'll be live and also through the PowerPoint. And then again, we'll have time for questions throughout. And then at the end, feel free if I need to double back and show you something, I'm happy to do that. Okay, so to introduce LITT is our new statewide database. This website is going to have required usage for all utility vendors and our agencies. There is no opting out. All of our applicant processing is going to occur within this website. So what that means is there's a whole new transmittal process. We will not be doing the transmittal process any longer. We're not calling it the transmittal process any longer. That means there's going to be no more PDFs, no emailing those PDFs, no snail mailing them, no faxing them, none of that. Everything is going to be digital and done within this website. Okay. Yeah. So just really quick. So during the PY26 year, which is this year that we're wrapping up right now, we had about 30 utility vendors participate as pilots in this program. And so we ran a pilot in just a handful of in counties in Indiana. So I just want to take a second and thank if you were one of those utility vendors that took part in the pilot. I just want to thank you so much for the work you did. Your feedback and working through bugs, giving feedback, invaluable. So, and I think that's really going to pay off in this upcoming year. So we're pretty happy how that's going. And we're almost done, just a few more to go. So I just want to remind everybody as we're kind of getting into this that change is hard. And I totally understand that. This is going to be a complete change to how this program functions. And please know that you're not alone in learning this new system. Our agencies are also learning this system. We're learning and developing this system. And this is only phase one. So what today I'm going to show you the test site. And so things are not necessarily complete. There are upgrades still coming. And then in the following next year, this year and next, there will be even further upgrades. So this is only phase one. But just know that I'm here for you and just know that I'm going to do my best to make sure you guys have the materials that you need to get through this and to learn it and to be comfortable with it, and that I'm going to be here along the way to help us get there. So I also want to remind everybody that there are 260 plus utility vendors in Indiana that participate in the Energy Assistance Program. And we have a pretty limited team here at ICDA working on the vendor side of this. Please, please, please be aware of that. Please understand that you need to use the training materials that we provide before you bring those problems to me. I'm expecting there to be a very large influx of questions and issues when this rolls out live on October 1st. And, there may be delays more than normal that for me getting back to you. So just be aware of that. 260 plus of you, one of me. Okay. Okay. So just to kind of explain uh, the agency view versus the vendor view. So in your view, when you log in, you're only going to see your clients. That means that when an applicant applies, that they select your utility as their energy provider. You are also going to see all of your applicants that are across the state in one place. They are no longer going to be separated by agency. This means that your clients from HSI and SCAP, they will all be together on that list. The agencies are going to see all the vendors in one place. They're only going to see their utility vendors. They're also only going to see clients from their territory. The agencies will also be able to see the views that you have, but they will be view only with the exception of two of the queues, and we'll get into that. So just so you know, you will only see your clients. They'll only see their clients. There you go. So just some quick definitions before we get into the bigger view. So this is kind of our sidebar when you log in. And this is all the processes that you will be doing for the clients. Obviously, reports is going to be a future reporting module. An all applicants queue is kind of what we're calling the moratorium queue. That's going to be a live list of all of your clients. There will be an approval queue. This is where benefit claim review will happen for any approved clients with benefits. There will be a payment queue where you will lock and review batches and submit those for payment. That was also where you will go for your general payment view, like deposits, ACH issues, things like that. There's also an issue queue. This is a list of clients that have been flagged for corrections or rejections, much like removing people from your current transmittal process. The return of funds queue is currently being built out. It is a list of clients that you can create a register sheet when you return funds. This will also be an approval queue for return of fund requests from agencies. Again, this is a work in progress. There's also a JSON export queue. This is a manual JSON file export tracking module, and this will be admin only. Again, don't get too bogged down in these definitions. I'm going to explain every one of these. And then vendor setup is just your user management. Okay, so here's just a quick screenshot of the current state of the system. Y'all probably never seen a homepage before, but this is what it looks like. Pretty plain right now. We're hoping to have some widgets and some other information on this homepage, but for now, nice and clean, very clean. It's very nice. All right. So for user management, we are going to be setting up all the admin users for each utility. So we'll do that on our side. We'll be sharing out the username for that admin. You will create your own password. We will not be doing that for you. But then every admin will be responsible for adding and managing their current users within LITT. I want to tell everybody that our agencies will have no control over this functionality. So they will not be able to add, subtract, help with passwords. They will not be able to do any of that work. So yeah, you'll need to route those to your admin users and me. So to simply add people, you just click new in this module, fill out the required information. You select which queues you want that person to have access to. You click user reset, and then you click save. You share that username to the new user. That user inputs their username and then creates their own password. So we're not doing any password making here. We're going to get into some little more detail on this. So access in LITT is stratified. That means that every queue has controls on it on who can see it and who can use it. For example, in the all applicant queue, kind of what we're calling the moratorium queue, you would be able to give your customer service people access to that. And then if a client calls in, they can simply look in at the live system and see what that client status is. Or you could give your accounting team access to the payment queue so that they can see deposits, they can see deposit information, they can see totals, they can see clients, who to apply it to. So we really wanted to make this system accessible for your entire team without giving them full access to everything, so that whoever the admin is, they can really get down in that nitty gritty and control that. And then, your entire team has access to this instead of just, one or two people. Also within this is tasks and alerts. This is where you can get daily email alerts. You simply just click the alert/task link. It pulls up this other window. You select which emails you want them to receive. So simple as that. So some of the alerts that we're working on right now is the number of new clients in an application queue. So in the new applicants queue, excuse me. So if you've got a client that just applied and you would like to protect them from moratorium, you got an email alert, there's a new client, you can log in and see who that client is and go ahead and protect them. We also are showing you the number of new clients in the approval queue. This means that benefits are ready. This means that you need to go in and process those clients and review their benefits and approve them if possible. If you have an open payment batch, this will tell you how many days that payment batch has been open and what the total dollar amount is. Again, those will need to be locked and submitted for payment. Okay, just a couple of best practices for this. So password resets and any other user management should be conducted by the utility vendor's admin user. If the admin user is having issues, they should not contact our agencies. The admin should contact IHCDA with any issues. So again, our agencies are not going to have any access to this, to the user management. Um, and so don't send them those emails. Okay. So now that we're all in the system, let's talk through the new client processing process. So here's the all applicants queue. So as I said, this list was made for moratorium monitoring. This is a live system, which means this will always show you the most up-to-date status for any client that you have. There are only 4 statuses in this system that you will ever see. That is undecided, approved, denied, and on appeal. For those of you that were in the vendor portal in the legacy system, you will know that those statuses swapped back and forth. That will not be happening in this system. We are trying to make this as clear cut as possible for you to use. Always within this, we have every one of these screens has a grid to Excel button. And what that does is it simply just pulls that entire spreadsheet into an Excel spreadsheet and downloads it for you. So at any time you can go in here and pull a live report of everything that's in here. It's simply what you see in the grid with those headers, and you can do what you need to do with it. So again, just trying to make this as easy as possible for you to use. Okay, so the client card pops out anytime you click on a client. And what that's going to have is going to have all their identifying information. It currently has a chat box that has some wonky functionality. We are working on that functionality, but it does have a chat box. This will show any of their historical benefit claims. It will have an upload button for bills or other documentation that have been requested. And you can also flag this client with an issue. And then again, we're going to get into all that functionality here. But this is so clicking on a client pulls this out, and then you can review more of their details. So kind of one of the more exciting functionalities of this is that you can now upload documentation directly to the system securely, I might add. You simply just click the upload button here, and it pulls out the vendor upload document screen. You can select the document type that you've been requested to upload. You browse for it, select the document you're uploading, and then just click save. And that is just going to attach it directly to the client file. And so any type of old way that you're doing this, you can put that away and just do it this way. This is probably going to be the simplest way to get the agencies that are requesting documentation, get it to their file. So just some quick policies around this. You are not required to use this upload function. We do want you to have other secure forms of file sharing available to use. If you're using fax or snail mail, I'm going to ask and insist that you swap to this just for efficiency's sake. And then I want to tell you as a reminder, please let the agency know once you've done any type of documentation upload that they've requested. So, but I think this one's going to save us all a lot of time. So some all applicant queue best practices. Client status requests should not be going to our agencies. The exception would be for bugs or potential issues. The reason for that is you can find that information within LITT. So rather than sending them an email or a phone call, you can just log in and find that client directly. If there are problems, that's when you can reach out to the agency. Reports or other data requests should also not be sent to our agencies. If you need extra reporting, please contact vendors at ifcda.in.gov and we can discuss what data needs you have and how we can best help with that. Our agencies will not be providing any extra documentation that is not already in this system. Another best practice, I would say, please use the upload function. It's going to be very efficient use for everybody involved. And you should also, if you are subject to the moratorium statute, you should be monitoring this all applicant list on a regular basis to extend that moratorium protection. So our agencies will still be reaching out to assist, especially in protecting crisis clients. That is one tool in their toolkit. As a reminder, it is not our agency's responsibility to keep utility vendors compliant with moratorium regulations. So please do your best to be responsible and use this system wisely. Our agencies will be helping where they can, but remember, they limited staff, limited time, limited money. Okay. So in the approval queue, this is the system that is replacing the old transmittal function. So clients are only going to show in the approval queue when they have been approved programmatically. They are also only going to show in this queue if they have a benefit available and therefore funding available. When you approve a client, that is the exact same status as signing a transmittal. That means that you need to, mark their accounts, credit their accounts, just like you would do on a normal signing a transmittal. So again, this is the same step as signing an old transmittal. Whenever you click on a client in this queue, it pops out their card just like this. And you can simply just click the approval button if you think that looks good, after reviewing all their information, of course. Any rejections and corrections to this need to provide a reason why. And we'll get into that. But when you reject or submit a correction, that's kind of the same stage as removing them from a transmittal. So the benefit claims can be approved in multiple ways. So there is a mass approval button on kind of the home screen of it, or you can go in and do it individually as we just discussed. That is simply there and there. Okay. So if you flagged a client with an issue for either a correction or a rejection, what happens is that client will move out of your approval queue and it'll move them to the issue queue. Selecting the issue button brings up a rejection and correction options where you can tell us exactly what that reason is. And so if you've selected that you're rejecting this benefit, so you have to tell us, is it a no active service or closed account? It's a business account or non-residential, or you didn't find this account, or it's over the credit limit. If it's just a correction, like you found like the account number is wrong or the address is wrong, you can actually tell us what that correct information is. So again, it pops out in the bottom there, and then you can put the correct information in. So I'm going to pause here before I move on because there's a few questions on this select section here. So Ashley asks, will they still request the bills via email, or will we get an alert that the info is requested to be uploaded? So currently you're just going to hear from them probably via email or phone call. We are working on internal alerts. I don't know if those are going to be ready before the season starts. And Renee also asks, she's all for uploading documentation, but it seems counterproductive if you still have to notify the agency that you uploaded it. So again, we are working on those internal alerts. I'm just saying, just double down right now and just, quick reply to that email that, their request was complete. We're working on the alerts. We're hoping to have those rolled out here soon. So Sherry asks, will the slideshow also be made available? Yes, all this will be made available today. The cards, the video, we'll have a walkthrough, we'll have a manual, we'll have a vendor guide. We're gonna have tons of stuff. And Clerk asks, will we be able to sign our MOU on the new site? Great question. Not at this current time. We have tossed around the idea of having the ability to sign MOAs on this site. If we do, we're not signing MOAs until next summer, and so I'll have more on that then. Good question, though. Stacy asks, if we reject a client for an issue, will it bounce back to the moratorium screen for the customer service reps to see that it is denied? Stacy, yes. So if you rejected or denied the client, then yeah, their status will switch to denied in that queue. And then that client will move from the approval queue to the issue queue, but they will always still be listed in the all applicants queue. Good question. And Derica says, hi, since there won't be any more PDF transmittals, will there still be text files to download the transmittal pledges to our customer accounts? Derica, if you're talking about the EDI file that you were previously using, which I think is what you're referencing, I'm going to have more on that in a few slides, and we can discuss that more in depth. Okay, I'm going to move on here just. So some approval queue best practices. Benefit claims that are in the approval queue should be processed within 7 days. So this is just the same as a transmittal. You should not be sitting on transmittals more than 7 days. As a reminder, the quicker you process those, the quicker you can get paid. Vendors who will not receive additional reminders of available claims from an LSP, we do have daily email alerts available. So for example, if an agency sent you a transmittal, and they needed to send you a follow-up email, they're not going to be doing that. Those reminders are solely going to come from the system itself. Utility vendors are responsible to regularly check this system for available claims. And we will be monitoring usage to make sure all utility vendors are compliant with this. This is what we all signed up for. So, yeah. Okay. So to kind of answer some questions about that EDI kind of digital text file. So that file format will no longer be available. We are switching to a JSON file format. It's a JSON. You can take advantage of that electronic file format. It is completely different than the current format. It does feature secure file data transfer. It's automated and customizable pull down and upload of client data and statuses. And then it has some future complex data exchange capabilities, also known as automation. So if your company was using the EDI file and you would like to develop the upgrade, please contact me directly and we can start talking about what those steps look like and see what we can do. So. Okay. So once a client has been approved for benefits, they move to our payment queue and move to a payment batch. And a payment batch will automatically open anytime you approve a client. And it will fill that batch as the more and more clients that you approve. You are responsible for locking that batch and submitting it for payment. Again, we are expecting that to be done on at least a weekly basis. Once you submit that will come to IHCDA to be paid. We've made a lot of changes to the back end on payment process, and I know some of you have or currently experiencing payments that may take months to receive. I think in the pilot, we were seeing like 2 weeks or less on payments. So once these are submitted, we're turning them around pretty quick. So barring any issues or bugs, things like that. So this is a pretty big upgrade, but it is your responsibility now, as opposed to our agency's responsibility. So when you click on any payment batch, it does open up and shows you all of the clients that are within. You must lock your batch to submit it for payment. Like I said, it's just simply clicking the button. Um, as this gets submitted, it's going to autofill with all of the relevant information you need. So it'll have a date of submission. It will have a date that we pay it. It will also tell us if there's an ACH error. So if for whatever reason your payment bounced, you can come in here and you're looking for a payment, you can come in here and see that there's an error. We'll also be monitoring this and reaching out when we detect errors. But if you catch it first, you can contact me directly and say, uh, hey, we need to update our ACH information. So pretty exciting stuff. So this will be where all the payment information will live. So anytime you lock a batch, it remains in this payment queue. And then once you approve a client, a new fresh batch will open after that and then begin filling with those approved clients. So again, this is where you will come for all of that information. Okay. So just some best practices for this. Again, we expect these payment batches to not stay open for longer than a week. We expect them to be closed on a weekly basis. All of your relevant payment information can be found within the payment queue and then the payment batch themselves. If you're having any payment issues or you have questions, those questions should come to IHCDA. They should come to me. Our agencies will not be able to answer those questions. They will not have any of that information. They will not be involved in the payment process at all. If you have an ACH update, again, those will have to go through the vendors at ihca.in.gov. The season has not quite started yet, so if you have an ACH update coming, please reach out. Okay, so I'm gonna field some of these questions here. Tina asks, what is the credit amount a customer can have before getting assistance? Tina, the credit limit for a electric service is $250, and for a bulk fuel is 500. And Tom can correct me if that's wrong. Um, okay. Erica asked, for those of us that have already expressed interest in a JSON file, is a sample JSON file available for us to begin updating our systems around? Good question, Erica. So we had a delay in the creation of this. We're really trying to nail down some of the payment stuff in the moment. I'm hoping to have that test JSON file here ready in the next week or two. And thank you for your patience. And you can reach out to me directly about that, and we can start discussing that. Marquita asks, how many years will the payment batches data be available? Great question. So obviously, this program has a 3-year data retention policy. We're still tossing around ideas for how we are going to archive this information, but it will be around for those entire 3 years. It may just be in a report that you pull, or we may just have some sort of packet that you can access. But yes, all that payment information will be in there. Good question. Tyler says, pardon my ignorance, I'm new to this process. Are JSON files so that we can batch import pledges versus having to manually enter them on each account? I know the ladies in the office that handled this in the past posted these one by one. So if we can get away from that, that would be wonderful. Tyler, good question. So the JSON file format, what it is a daily update of every client of yours and any information that they have. So it's their status, it's their basic information. It would be any payment information, so their benefit amounts, all of that. It would be batches that their payments are in. Anything along those lines are included in that on a daily send out. And it's very customizable. So theoretically, what you can do is actually download that file. This is the level of complexity it has. You can download that file and manipulate it and send that information back to us, and our system would eat it and process it. So you could technically do all of your client processing on your end, and our system would take that. So that's a little advanced. You could simply just take the data and hold people for moratorium or apply benefits. So yeah, it could be that simple as well. Again, if you want more information on the JSON file, please contact me directly and we can have those discussions. Ashley says, we have two vendors slash services at our business. We have LP, gas, and electric. Will our application show up for both of those together under our logins? Ashley, so yeah, you're REMC. I believe all of your applications will show up together, Ashley. But if I'm misremembering about your company, you can email me about this directly, and we can talk about the logins and where those clients will be going. Yeah, that's a good question, but I would like to look into that. So, Linda, will we still receive notification from IHCDA that payments have been made? Will the deposits have a unique identifier in case there's more than one batch with the same dollar amount? Linda, great question. So you're not going to receive the same receipt email that you're receiving now. And that is because that is utilizing a like 20-year-old accounting system that is not compatible with the future and therefore this system. We are working on having payment batch email notifications, but those aren't quite ready yet. There will be identifying numbers just in case there are more batches in one. So that will have a separate line, and you'll be able to see all of that here soon. So yes, you will have notifications eventually, but you will have the identifying numbers on it as well. So it should be easy to match up. Good question. Okay, I'm going horse here. All right, so let's talk about the issue queue a little bit more. So clients that are flagged by vendors move to the issue queue until they are resolved. So again, those are your rejection issues and your correction issues. Our agencies will be working to resolve any that they can. So if it's a correction, like the account number's wrong, they'll be working to move through those pretty quickly, and then get them back to you. Once they resolve them, they go back to your approval queue for you to then approve. Obviously, there are going to be some clients in here that are not going to move out of here. They're going to stay in this queue. So, for example, a client that's rejected are still programmatically approved. They're just approved with no benefit. So again, just a reminder that you can be programmatically approved for this, but then still denied benefits. The rejected clients are going to stay in the issue queue through the remainder of the season, and then we'll clean that out at the end of the year. If a client updates the required information, that benefit can still be resolved and then returned to your approval queue. So let's say, for example, I applied, but I have too high of a credit balance. You see that, you deny me. So I go to the approval queue. I'm sorry, I go to the issue queue. Then 3 months from now, I return to the agency and say, I spent that down. Now I'm under. They can resolve that and send that benefit back to you. And then you can go ahead and approve that. So it's just a way of moving clients back and forth as needed, and without, extra documentation. Okay, so talking about return of funds a little bit here. So we're soon going to be able to track return of funds in LITT. The return of funds queue is going to allow return of fund requests to be sent to utility vendors. We've made a lot of changes again on the back end with our application processing and just the application process itself. That should result in far less return of fund requests overall. You will be able to select clients and create records and register sheets for return of funds to include when you mail us that check back. And then again, I just want to remind everybody that federal funds that are returned to IHCDA need to have correct identifying information, and that if you are not supplying that information, you could be removed from the Energy Assistance Program just for mishandling federal funds. We are going to have more training on this. This functionality is not ready yet, but it's coming. So I just wanted to give everybody a heads up, and then I'll let everybody know when that training is ready. Okay. So best practices for vendors. Again, we're expecting a minimum of a weekly login to LITT. That's really going to depend on your volume of clients. If you have a very, very large volume of clients, you're probably going to want to be in here more than one day a week. We expect all approved clients to be processed, either approved or denied, within 7 days. And then we also expect you to review and lock your payment batches within 7 days as well. Those should not be open for more than 7 days either. Again, the faster you approve those clients and lock your payment batches, the more you can get paid. The quicker you can get paid, not more, the quicker. And then again, just a reminder, you should be monitoring the all applicant queue if you are subject to the moratorium requirements. So we have another question in the chat real quick that says, will agencies be reaching out to applicants that were rejected and therefore will not receive benefits to give them the opportunity to fix their rejection reason? So yeah, that is part of their resolving. Again, some of those clients will just be, made aware that, you're over the credit balance, therefore, you're denied the benefit. If it is like a name or an account number or address, something like that, again, they will investigate those on their end. Yeah. So good question. Haley asks, why do batches have to be locked? What happens if you miss that step? So what happens if you miss that step, Haley, is that the batch sits there unpaid. And the reason why we made this your kind of responsibility is that some utility vendors won't necessarily want five payments each for a single client, right? So if you're a smaller vendor, let's say in a week you get five different clients that are approved Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And if we were just automatically paying those, you would receive five payments rather than allowing you to take that week, approve clients throughout the week, lock it on Friday, get paid the next week. And then it's all in one batch. And so it's only a couple more clicks for you, but it allows you to have a better control of how often you're getting paid and then kind of the limit of those. So some of our larger vendors, they might have 100 clients in there, and there might be a limit to what is good processing amounts for them. So we just wanted to give you that freedom, but with that freedom comes a little more responsibility. So I hope that helps a little bit. Great questions today. Okay. So I just kind of wanted to address pledge policy really quickly. So our agencies can and will still be using pledges to mitigate crisis situations. It's a really important tool for them in their toolbox, and so you can expect that to be happening. Um, but in general, I want to remind everybody that the utility vendors that are subject to moratorium requirements will still need to use LITT to stay compliant with regulations, and you cannot just rely on pledges from the utilities. I'm sorry, pledges from our agencies. Pledges are never required to maintain service during moratorium. And if you have any type of policy questions, please reach out to me directly, and I would love to have a conversation about it. So, okay. This is going well, I think. So let's switch over. I'm gonna share the live site, and well, it's the live test site, and we'll do a quick walkthrough there. Okay, here it is. Very plain at the moment, as you can see. Again, we're gonna hopefully have some widgets and some other data here, maybe some reminders, maybe messages from us, something like that. But for right now, trying to keep it clean, and just trying to get the functionality down. So really quickly, I'm going to show you down here. This is the capture bug button. What this is we're just asking you to let us know if you run into any issues. It autofills your login email here and then just tell us exactly what's going on. You can do this on any of the screens. It emails us directly, and then we quickly can tackle whatever the problem is. So this has been really great function to use in the pilot. And so please don't be afraid to send us any bugs you're seeing. So starting kind of at the top here. So this is my reports. As you can see, again, nothing in here right now. This is what we're hoping to do is have some level of ad hoc reporting for you, or maybe like historical reporting for you. That will live in here. If you were one of our pilot vendors or pilot utilities, this is probably where your pilot data will live. We'll probably have a set report here that at any time you can go in and access and download. So it's pretty straightforward functionality. Nothing to really worry about right now, though. Okay, so jumping down here to our vendor setup. So LITT people, this is where you're going to manage all your users. Again, try to make this as simple as possible. So when you add a person, you just simply add their information and then their email. And then give them a username. And then you just select, this is where I was telling you, this is where you select which queues you want to give them. So if I'm just a CSR, just give me the all applicants queue. If I'm on accounting, you can give me accounting access to the payment queue, anything along those lines. Simply click the user password reset and then click save. That's it. Easy as that. So also within that is when you have an active user, you can deactivate them here. That will shut off their access. You can reset anybody's user password here. You can ignore the person signature function. And down here is where you do alerts and tasks. And again, it's just simply which of these emails do you want to receive on the daily? And that's it. Okay. Here is the all applicant queue. Again, just a reminder, we're in the test site, so things are not perfect, but as you can see, basic information here, app numbers, account numbers, the date they applied, names, address, what their current status is. Again, you're going to see right now, you're going to see a lot of other statuses. You will not see those. You will only see the 4 statuses. You can see their agency they've applied at, and then you can also see their USP slash USF tier if you have those, if you're using that programming. So when I click on a client here, so this client here, let me find an approved client. So here's a client that has been approved. Again, this is just the all applicant queue. So has their basic information, has that chat function here. You can see that they have a benefit that is ready. Since you're in the all applicant queue, you can't approve their benefits because that has to happen in the other queue. But here is the upload function. This is where you select a dropdown. You can upload a document, anything that's requested. You can also trigger them with the issue here. And as you can see, that just hits the drop down. And then you just select, tell us what's going on. Accounts not found, send rejection. Or if it's an account number, you can tell us, well, it's actually 1234. And then you send the correction. This client will, so let me see, then be removed from this and then go to the issue queue, and then you can see April showers just showed up here. So, okay. So that's pretty much it for the all applicants queue. Again, so here's the approval queue. As you can see, a lot of the same information. I'm logged in as a Centerpoint right now, so these are all fake Centerpoint people. You can see their benefit amounts. You can see their fake addresses. Again, their tier. This is that grid to Excel button. This is what will pull everything down. You can mass approve all the clients here. You can filter any type, search by last name, what have you. Yep, anything you need to do. So here is their client card that pops out. Again, tells you what their amount is to go ahead and approve. Basic information here. It should look really similar Again, you can trigger it for an issue, give us the drop down, all of that. That's the approval queue. Pretty simple. So here is the payment queue. I'm going to show you an open batch. So here are some clients that I've previously approved. Right now, it's just showing the batch total. You can see again, this is all the filters. You can grid to Excel this at any time. It has their basic information, has their reward amounts, all of that. So once you lock that, it looks like this. So it'll actually say locked. Um, it'll tell us when it's created. It'll also have a lock date when those columns get updated. And here it is. So it's locked. It's got the notification. It tells you the total. Again, you can grid that to Excel at any time. Here's the list of those clients and then their benefits as well. So once this is updated with the kind of new payment information, this will have all the ACH, deposit dates, submission dates, all of that. That will live up here in this corner. But all that's being finalized this week. So I was hoping to have it ready, but we're not quite there yet. So that's it. And then as soon as you approve a new client, it just simply opens a new batch and that batch will be open until you lock it. So down here is the issue queue. So as you can see, I've kind of gone through and I've submitted a few corrections and rejections. It just tells you, it tells the agency, there's really nothing for you to do here except you can monitor this, especially if you're looking at like some corrections. Here it just shows their basic info, just like on their regular client card. This is mostly for our agencies to work through. So again, this will be just for you to monitor what the status is. So once they resolve that, so I wonder, let me see if I can. No, it's not going to let me resolve it from my view, but yep. So once they resolve it, it'll just remove from this and return to your approval queue. And then your rejections will likely stay in here unless something changes. Okay. Again, this is the return of funds queue. This is still under work. This is still complete work in progress. We are still working on this functionality. I'm not going to go into this today. I just wanted you to be aware it's on here. We're still working on building this out. So return of funds very soon. This JSON export queue is also on here. This is only going to show up for admins. This is just going to be a tracking module for anybody that's utilizing the digital JSON file, and they can also trigger it manually at any time if they would like their system updated. So not much for y'all to worry about with this, but I just wanted you to be aware that it will show up on some of your admins, but unless there's a connection, it's not going to do anything. So. And that's pretty much the end of the tour. Let's see. Okay. Looks like we have some questions in the chat. Okay. Okay, so Tyler asked, do we need to let you know who the admin for our company will be? Tyler, great question. So the person I'm taking to be the admin is either the main contact that was provided on the MOA or the person that has let me know that they're the main contact for this program. So if you have an update for that client, or I'm sorry, if you have an update for that person, please let me know, and I'm happy to kind of update our spreadsheet to make sure that person gets the admin. Once we kind of send out that username, and start sending out those notifications. If we need to make adjustments, we can always make adjustments. It's really not that hard. So, but yeah, I'm always happy to take care of stuff early. So, Erica asks if a client's application status changes to denied, is the understanding that they would no longer have moratorium protection? So, Erica, if their application is denied for if they're programmatically denied, then yes, they can lose moratorium protection. But just because you deny their benefit does not make them denied for the program and therefore moratorium. I hope that makes sense. Those are two different determinations. You can be programmatically eligible and protected on moratorium without ever receiving a benefit. And if you would like, you can always email me and we can always have like kind of an in-depth discussion about what that means. So good question.
Hey, Henry, can I
Yes,
just add on to that?
please go ahead.
I do just want to provide additional context that if someone is denied programmatically, um, they do have appeal rights, and that both IHCDA and IURC interpretation of the statute is that once an application is appealed and that appeal is active, then that is still under consideration, and that moratorium protection does extend while that appeal is being considered. There's also the fact that if it's been more than 55 days since the initial application, that applicant could submit another application. And while that application is open, that moratorium protection would be active. So I just wanted to kind of provide those additional little nuances context.
Yes. And then without going into too many details as well, we've made some structural changes to how we're handling appeals. So you guys will see that on appeal status in there. But I think we're expecting those to be processed much quicker. So yeah, good questions. Jessica asked, I noticed that name was not an option for a correction. How would you suggest we request that correction, or does name really matter? That's a good question, Jessica. Name is not in the selection. We do know that that runs into we know that runs into some of your policies on your end. Um, Tom, do you want to weigh in on this one as well?
Um,
Yeah,
I mean, from my perspective, so I'm kind of approaching this from two different angles here. Yeah, so our policy does allow for a benefit to be provided to someone as long as they bear the responsibility to pay on that utility. Now, regardless of whose name it is, as long as we have documentation of the person whose name that is and like where they are.
mhm,
Um, yeah, so I know some of you might have company policies that state that the utility must be in the name of someone who's actually in the household.
mhm.
Um, that is obviously your prerogative as a company, but that's kind of neither here nor there for us from the perspective of awarding a benefit under our program. Ultimately, now the other thing is there's obviously program integrity and my reporting requirements where I need to be able to match up the data that you have with the data that we have as far as what we awarded. So I do have a vested interest in ensuring that the data that we have is accurate and reflects your records so that we can easily match those up. Um, so yes, I would like to see the name that is being sent by the LSPs match the name that you have on your records for who's actually, the billing party of record. Um, Now, where does that leave us with the technology, with that not being a field for the issues? Um, I don't know, and I'm not the tech person here, so I'm going to bow out of that part of the conversation. But yes,
Thank
my
you. Yeah.
ultimately, from a programmatic perspective, I do want to see our subrecipients correctly noting all the details of the account, including the billing name, billing address, service address, and account number.
Yeah. So what I would go ahead and suggest for those kind of clients as we run into them, starting October 1st, just reach out to your agency that is submitting that one and start having that conversation because they can assist with, communicating with the client as well, working with that client maybe to get it into their name. So just be open to communication on those. And then we're looking for a tech solution too. So great questions. Okay, where am I here? Sherry asks, will there be a test environment that we can utilize before actually using? Great question. There is a test environment. I'm not going to send out the test access, but if you would like access to that, I'm happy to give it to you. So please email me directly if you would like test access, and then we can work on getting you that pretty quickly. So great question. Thank you. Erica asks, if a client's application is approved but is in the issues review queue, do they still have moratorium protection due to the fact that they were approved? Erica, yes, a client is extended moratorium protection even if they're in the issue review queue. So just kind of as Tom said a little bit ago, that is extended until they are it's through their application, like the moment they apply until they are programmatically denied. So the clients that are in your issue and review queue are largely going to be programmatically eligible, even if they don't receive a benefit. So, yeah. And Ashley's asked, since everything will be done in the portal now, will they be approved or denied faster? We had someone on hold the entire moratorium this past season. They never paid and were denied at the end, which left us with a $3,000 bill unpaid. Ashley, great question. So we are expecting vast improvements basically on every part of this process. The application itself is more simple. It's easier to use. It's easier to apply. It makes more logical sense. It should be easier for less tech savvy people to use as well. On top of that, on our end, where our agencies are processing the applications, that is easier. It's more intuitive. It should be more efficient in general. So that should also save time. And on top of all of that, I kind of already went through the payment. We're expecting payments to be a lot quicker. So at this time, I can't tell you, yes, it's going to be 2 days or what have you. But yeah, in general, we are expecting this to be a lot faster for everybody. So we'll have a better idea, within a couple of months of what those kind of averages look like, especially as our agencies, they're going through training right now and they're also building their new processes and training their people. And so we expect that to get better and better as this season goes on. So yeah, good question. Trinity says, if I remember correctly, when you have locked batch and grid to Excel, it shows the customer's award as one total for crisis and regular. These lists would be utilized for our payment team to apply payments. Is there a way to get those numbers broke out separately, as the pledges are typically entered as two separate amounts? Trinity, that's a really great question. I would love to get into that a little bit. If you want to shoot me a quick email and then we can discuss that and then see what that looks like when it comes out. So yeah, that's great. I lost my spot again. Okay. Eric asked, do agencies have an expected turnaround time for accounts in the issue approval queue? So Erica, I believe we're expecting the same out of them, and that is that they should be processing those within a week as well, or within 7 days as well. That should be pretty interesting to see. I'm expecting them to stay up on it. But yeah, that is their expectation. So. Apache Propane asks, will the payment date feature apply to only new payments, or will it also show ones from the past season before this feature was added? So great question. This is only going to show payments from this season. the previous data out of the legacy system is basically not usable in any format. And that's just because again, it's like a 25-year-old system or something. And there was no way for us to port any of that data to this new system in any way whatsoever. It's a clean break for us, which is a good thing. But yeah, there's not going to be any legacy data in here. So, yep. Lisa asks, will the slides be available to print? Yes, they will be. Again, I'm going to be sharing out a guide, a walkthrough. You'll have these cards and we'll have the recording as well. Okay. Dana asks, we would reach out to the account holder to see if they could add additional person as a contact on the account. Oh, okay. Just feedback. Great. Stephanie, when should we expect the link to get set up prior to October 1st? That's a good question. I'm hoping to have those logins available in the next 2 weeks. I wanted to host these trainings. The next training is Monday. I want to get those done and out of the way and then work on getting everybody their logins. So, yep. So pretty quick here. What other questions do we have? Well, I've only got a couple more slides here, so if you think of more, please feel free to use the raise hand function or put them in the chat. So next steps for vendors. I'm going to be sending out the live site URL and your username to begin logging in the next couple of weeks. There is an expectation that you begin usage of this on October 1st. Unlike previous years, there's going to be claims available on October 1st. So we've moved some of our deadlines around, our timelines around. So October 1st will be the day that you want to be logged in and ready to go. Again, I will give you test site access if you request it. So please just shoot me an email and I can share that information out. I will be sharing out a quick guide and a manual, as well as these cards and the recording sometime next week. I also want to remind everybody, please register for our yearly policy training. Those links are on the same email thread that I've been sending out. That's the 24th of August for bulk fuel vendors, the 25th for municipalities, and the 27th I'm sorry, that should be the 26th for all other utilities. Great, need to edit that card. And then throughout October, I'm still tossing around having some refresher training. I think what that's going to be is maybe like on a weekly or semi-weekly cadence where I'll probably just send out registration links or live links, and then y'all can just join if you need help. And then I'll do a quick walk through the system and then answer any questions. We can talk through policies, things like that. So just be on the lookout for that as we're going along. Again, I just want to give everybody as many tools as possible to be successful. And again, I'm going to be uploading this PowerPoint and the recording to our resource page, and we'll be sending that out. This does have the link to our test system here, and then you can always send me questions at vendors@ihcda.in.gov. And then I think we have a couple other comments in the chat. What is the website we're going to be using? The website is called LITT. It's got a pretty convoluted URL, so I'll be sharing that out via email. So don't worry, everybody's going to get the link to the website. Somebody else asked, if you approve a customer one by one in LITT, will it create a separate batch for each customer? No. So every client that you approve just fills one batch until you lock that batch. So you could just fill them all week, start on Monday, approve clients, and then at the end of the week, you lock one batch, have one batch payment. Alternatively, if you have 10 clients on one day, you could lock that and get those paid, and the next day have another 10 and do the same thing. So whatever is a cadence that works for you, just as long as you're not leaving those open for more than a week, and as long as you're not leaving client benefits unapproved for more than a week, then we're going to be good. Yeah. Okay. I'm happy to stay on here and answer any other questions. But if not, I hope y'all have a great rest of your day. I really appreciate you taking the time to getting on here and taking the time with us today. So um, please let me know if there's anything I can help with. Please let me know if you have further questions, and hope y'all have a great day. But yeah, I'll just keep answering questions until we're done with them. So, uh, Elizabeth, will they be dated for us to be able to keep track? I assume you mean payments are going to be dated. Yeah, so all of the kind of relevant payment information that you get now, like submission dates and payment dates, all that stuff will all be within the system. So yeah, everything's going to be should be very, very trackable within this system. Great. Really great questions today. Talk to myself hoarse. Elizabeth, no, the members, so we make sure not wait longer than a week. Not sure I quite understand that one, Elizabeth, but yeah, y'all are very welcome. Sandra, you can go ahead and come off mute if you got a question. Yeah, maybe the raise hand function was an error. Stephanie says, so typically the payment goes through our bank. Will it still go through that, or do we pull through this site? Yeah, your payment will still be submitted through ACH. It will still go to your bank. You'll still receive notifications of all that stuff and all that relevant information, like identifying numbers, um, ways that you can take that number and come into LITT and identify immediately which batch it is and which batches are in that payment, and then therefore which clients those are applied to. So yeah, all that identifying information will be within the payment batch. Good question. Y'all are very welcome. Yes, it should be very interesting. Jamie, if a client has a credit more than 250, it is on the vendor to reject that client. Yeah, so Jamie, good question. That is one of the utility vendor's responsibilities to make sure that they're not applying benefits to clients that are not eligible for them. So yeah, if you are an electric provider, then yes, the limit is 250, and therefore you would reject that client. Yeah. And we'll be going into much more in-depth policy detail during the policy training. So just hint, hint, please register. Sandra asks, if a person applies and says their heat source is electric, but I know it's gas, can I deny the claim? Sandra, that is a legitimate reason for rejecting it, and you would have the ability to communicate that. I would say if you see something that is incorrect like that, that you would reach out to the agency and say, what, and maybe ask a question, what's going on here? What did this client just make an error? That could just be a problem with their application processing. So you would absolutely want to reach out to your agency and have a discussion about why they're trying to claim electric versus gas. So yeah, yep, that is something that is your responsibility to catch. So, uh, Jamie, is it is it on the vendor at that point to keep track of? So, oh, to keep track of the client's credit balance? It's not your responsibility to track the vendor balance. No, like you would not, wait for that client to come below that credit amount and then reach out to our agency and tell them. That's not within your purview. You don't need to do that. That would be on the client to monitor, and then the client to reach out to the agency. So, yeah, another good question. Deanna asks, so we haven't ever used the portal because we have water and electric service, and we couldn't use the same email for both utilities, and it made it hard to use. Yeah. If that happens again with water assistance, will we be able to see all of that in this program? Great question. That is not a limitation of this system, actually. I know exactly which limitation you are referring to in the legacy system. Yeah, that caused many problems. Again, I just want to say that there is no water assistance on the horizon for anybody. That is not probably in our future. If it was to come up, we would have that discussion. I think the system actually might be malleable enough that we could put that in the system, but as a separate benefit type, but we'll cross that bridge if we ever come to it. That is not something we need to worry about right now, but great question. Yeah. Oh, you're very welcome, Jamie. Very good questions today. Okay. I think we've kind of slowed down here, so I'm gonna go ahead and end this. Again, y'all are very welcome. Please reach out if you have further questions. I'm happy to have a discussion, happy to take phone calls, whatever y'all need. So hope y'all have a great day. Take care.